Hey, good evening, everybody. This is the Bicycle and Pedestrian Commission meeting. Today is July 15, 2026. I'm calling this to order. And wanted to ask to conduct a roll call for tonight.
Chair Eshlick,
Here.
Vice Chair Matipala. Yes. Commissioner Ganga,
Yes.
Commissioner Marcy.
Here.
Commissioner Wolf. Here. Have a quorum.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So that takes us to our first item on the agenda tonight, which is the approval of the meeting minutes from our May 2026 meeting. The meeting minutes have been distributed. I'm looking for either a motion to approve or some commentary and feedback and discussion on the meeting minutes from May 20.
I have a comment because it's mentioned here that I reported on the mayor's meeting. I don't think I did. Right before the future agenda settings, the last line right before. Marcy reported on the mayor's meeting.
Yeah, and even if there's a mayor's meeting, it's usually the chair that goes, right?
Yeah,
So
there was not.
I don't know.
I'm surprised where that came from.
Was it the VTA, the spelling that it should be the VTA meeting?
I think usually you report on the VTF.
Most likely on the video.
Yeah, I remember you reporting.
Yeah,
On the
but
VTF.
that was not the mayor's meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, that's a typo.
Yeah.
So maybe
That would be
we
the-
can fix that.
Yeah, we can fix.
Okay. Any other feedback in the meeting minutes? If not, do we have a motion to approve with that correction?
I would.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the meeting minutes with the correction. And do we have a second as well?
Second.
Well, thank you. So we have the proper motion. A second, can we do a vote, please?
For motion to approve the May 20th, 2026 BBC minutes with the correction noted on Commissioner Marcy's report out. How do you vote, Chair Eshlick?
Approved.
Vice Chair Matipala? Commissioner Ganga?
Yes.
Commissioner Marcy?
Yes.
Commissioner Wolf?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Excellent, thank you. It takes us into oral communications. This part of the meeting is reserved tonight for topics that are not on the agenda. So if anybody has any topics that they wanted to bring up tonight that are not on the agenda, this is the opportunity, and it's limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Do we have any communication, feedback, and discussion either online or in the room? Yes, we have one speaker here. Right.
Let me share my screen.
We usually use this blue form, you can fill it out afterwards as well, it's not very important, but just for the record, this information here. But please come forward and yeah.
Yeah, so I missed the last month meeting, and 2 months ago, we presented some issues of many potential dangers on the Prospect Road and via Ronco. And I don't know what's the decision, if you guys discussed about that last month commission meeting. So adding crosswalk and also other signals to the Prospect Road. I just want to follow up, any decisions?
Thank you for your follow-up. So we have recorded your feedback, your inquiry in our future agenda meeting setting items. And we pick from the list every meeting. So this is one of the items that will come up in one of the 4 meetings there. We didn't have a meeting in June, by the way. So we
Oh,
So there was no meeting in June. This is the next meeting, so to say, after your presentation.
I see. So, but putting that in the future means, as we discussed about that, in the, after a few years or after?
No, it's not gonna be a few years.
Yeah, so I want to know about it.
We will try to be as possible, as soon as possible, as soon as it fits the agenda. I cannot give you a date.
So, because right now, many bikers and going across street, which is very dangerous. And I think it's very important to take action.
We
Rather
take
than-
it seriously.
Yeah, so, well, I want to follow up. What's the action items on that?
Yeah, as I said, we have it on the future agenda item setting list, and we will pick from that list for next future meetings.
Yeah,
And then that will be handled. And
Yeah.
So you will be able to sign up for notifications as well from the city when traffic commission meetings are happening, so that you'll be in one attend.
So how many items are ahead of that?
Like today, we have 3 items, for example.
And before that,
I cannot tell you that, as I told you, and we will inform you once the meeting is scheduled.
I just try to have a sense, how long it will take? A few months or a few years, right? So
I cannot tell you, but it's not gonna be a few years.
you mean within this year?
Let's move on. I think we covered this extensively now, so let's take the next item on the agenda. Thank you very much for your input. So we have any other oral communication?
We have no speakers.
No, thank you. Then that takes us to our next item on the agenda, which is the Cupertino Active Transportation Plan. We have a presentation like last week. I believe. This topic.
Yes. Plug in. And share. All right, so good evening, Bicycle Pedestrian Commission. My name is Matt Schrader, Senior Transportation Planner. I'll be providing an update on the ATP and where we're at in the process. So the last time we were before BPC was in February, where Commission provided recommendations related to the project prioritization criteria, specifically the project list. Those recommendations were that the safety scoring seemed to be overweighted and that the Vision Zero scoring should be increased, which is consistent with what we heard, Planning Commission. And then in April, we took those recommendations to the City Council, along with all the Phase 2 materials that were reviewed by the 2 bodies. We also presented to the City Council 2 scenarios. We showed them, all right, here's the project list as is, and then here's what would happen to the projects if we implemented those recommended changes. So the projects that relied more heavily on the safety scoring naturally fell lower, or the school scoring rather, fell lower. But the projects that were, more dependent on the Vision Zero scoring, those increased, and the projects that were both a suggested route to school and also on the high injury network, those remained relatively flat. So after hearing that, the council then directed staff to rescore the projects with the commission recommended adjustment, which is what we did. So we rescored the projects and compiled the updated project list, which is what is in the active transportation plan. We also compiled all of the elements that had been developed in phases 1, phases 2, and reviewed by both the Planning Commission, City Council, and BPC. And what's in the document really reflects the direction that the City Council has provided over the course of the project. So once we had that, we then released the document for a 30-day public review period. And many of the comments that we received were pretty similar in tone from what we heard in phases 1 and 2. There were comments about requests to close specific sidewalk gap closures. There were things that were just outside of the scope of the ATP, like acquiring railroad right away. There were also minor style comments, so changes to map symbology or using different images in certain places. But the one like substantive change that we did make is we added language in chapter 1 to emphasize the importance of e-bike and electric micromobility safety specifically for students. Previously, that was something that was included as a programmatic recommendation in chapter 6, but given the community's strong interest and desire to really do something about this issue, we felt it needed to be brought forward into the top of the plan, which is what we did in adding that language. So we went to the planning commission last night, and the planning commission passed 2 motions. The first of which was a motion recommending that the ATP add or modify the ATP so that there is language in there that addresses how certain projects might potentially impact evacuation routes, particularly in high fire hazard zones. And that's something that after discussing internally that we're definitely gonna begin developing and bring to council when this plan is then considered for adoption in September. So after that initial motion, they also then passed the motion adopting the resolution to recommend that the city council adopt the ATP. So those were the actions that passed at the planning commission meeting. There were also other motions that weren't passed related to the removal of specific projects. But these are the 2 motions that passed. So the next step is after review from this body, we will be going to the city council for adoption consideration in September. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Thank
And
you
we're,
for
and we're looking for a recommendation.
Yes.
From the commission that the council adopted.
Yes, yes. I think tonight is kind of a final opportunity to provide kind of guidance. I think the feedback from the planning commission last night was super helpful. Thank you for your outcome from last night. Let's do first the clarifying questions and comments from the commission. Anybody has any questions?
On the document.
On the presentation, yeah.
On the
Or on a document.
Yeah,
all
yeah,
three.
so on the document, I went through that, that's the 82 proof document. So, do, if you can pull up. Do you mind that on the one film?
Yeah. Page 22.
Yeah, 2.
Oh, why is this not sharing?
Do you want me to, do
Pardon?
you want me to open it?
Yeah, it's opened.
Want to stop sharing and try sharing it again?
Yeah.
You can also open it from Prashant's computer. If you want.
Okay. Sean, can people? I have it over here. Maybe I can begin answering the question.
Yeah, so, I saw the bubbles, right, like, in terms of how many passengers are, boarding and disembarking on those bus stops, right?
Mhm.
So Stevens Creek and Beyonza Boulevard as well as, Sterling and Homestead. More than 200 people per day seems like a stretch, because I pass by those junctions all the time
Yeah.
and I barely see anyone, right? So I'm kind of wondering, what is the basis for that,
Yeah, so
all of
this,
it done?
this
Yeah.
data comes directly from VTA's open data portal where they collect boardings and alighting. So they have a little sensor that detects when a passenger is on board and when one comes off. So this is data that comes directly from.
That from there, okay, we didn't do any survey of that. Yes, okay. So on page 38, the BLTS that Viking, like, the stress level 4, right?
Yeah, and you may be referencing the initial draft document. We since made some changes. The pagination's a little off.
Oh, is
But
that,
yeah, so those pages are still in here.
I looked at the one that was in the agenda. I downloaded the document that was part of the agenda today.
Okay. Page 36.
38.
That's 38.
Okay.
That's a bicycle level of stress.
Yeah.
So it's 37 of the.
Yeah. That's right. So one thing that I find here, again, so how is this data collected? This, the BLTS,
So this was done during our existing conditions phase. So this is calculated by looking at the width of the roadway, the presence of certain types of infrastructure, whether or not a bikeway exists, speed limits, just what's out in the field, and then in the appendix, there's supporting documentation that explains the methodology.
So I bike a lot, right? So, and in our city, and I'll tell you, the most stressful places to bike is, entrance and exit to the shopping complexes. What happens is, these cars, they're sticking out into the bike lane, right? The front of the car, they're completely blocking it, especially, near my house, the Dianza and the McClellan Ranch shopping complex on both sides, right? On the Dianza side as well as the McClellan side, the cars invariably, they come out and stick out and, and block the bike lane. And if you're on McClellan, good luck going around it because there is a bike lane.
Yeah.
Right. I invariably, yell and scream at those cars, right? So I don't know if there is anything that we can do about it in terms of, cars not coming and blocking the bike lane, right? And especially, if you have a separated bike lane where you are trapped, you can't even go around, right? So I find that, very, very challenging because you are coming at a good speed, like, 15, 20 miles speed. And then you have to come to a grinding halt because somebody, stuck their car into the bike lane. So as a biker, I would avoid, these main roads where there are shopping complexes, cars are entering and exiting. And putting concrete barrier roads in those areas complicates things 100 times.
Yeah, and that granularity wouldn't be captured in this map because we're looking at the entire roadway segment. So we just don't look at the driveway approaches when we're developing this.
So can you go to let's see, page 43? So this one, you're showing, high bike potential areas, right? Like, the solid green is the high bike potential, right? So, so what makes us think, that there is a high biking potential in those areas, that solid green area?
Yeah. So what Alta did when they developed this as part of, again, the existing network, or no, sorry, this was the needs analysis phase. So it's looking at cell phone data. So they have access to software that's able to determine where driving trips are occurring. So, your phone will ping that it's traveling,
Yeah.
and then a company will aggregate all that data, and then Alta collects it and analyze it for us.
I'm just curious because, what makes pick a certain high bike potential, right? So
this is based on real data from real kind of drivers that drove those miles based on cell phone reception, I guess.
Yeah.
right.
And again, in the appendices and with what we prepared in phase 1, we have supporting technical documentation that kind of explains how this data was collected and the work that went into these maps.
Can it go, I mean, just because there are high density of cars there, it doesn't necessarily mean that they could all translate into bikes. I just want to be careful, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to make that assumption that.
And we do,
defaults-
yeah, we do describe the limitations too. So there's going to be scenarios where people are chaining trips. So you may be taking a short driving trip to go from your house to Target, but then, as part of like that journey, you're then going to be going from Target, to Santa Clara or something. So it doesn't really fully account for the complete journey. It just is looking at that individual trip. So that's also documented.
It's one data point, yeah.
And can you go to page 56? So can you walk us through these improvements, like, the pedestrian facility toolbox, right? So,
Mhm.
so,
So when we were developing our network recommendations for the pedestrian network, we wanted to group our improvements in what we call typologies, group A, B, and group C. And the easiest way to think of these is group A are the lowest cost measures that we could probably do fairly easily in-house. Group B are more engineering changes. You can think capital projects. And group C relate to traffic signal and control improvements.
okay,
So when we move forward with potential projects, we're able to look at this intersection and say, all right, Alta has determined that an appropriate solution here would be, a crossing improvement coupled with a traffic control improvement or a geometric change along with a traffic control improvement. So it just allows flexibility for future project delivery. And also with so many intersections, it would be difficult to really hone in and say, all right, we need to get 5% design for these projects. So
yeah, one of the things that we want to be careful here, right? I'm all for, improving the walkability and, bikeability within the city and, 100%, right? But we should do it without, penalizing anything. Like, for example, I've seen people saying about, cars backing up because, no right turn on red, right? So we want to be smart about, when we do that, right? Like, for example, take Stelling and, and McClellan, right? So there, maybe, we may want to do like, during school hours and, stuff like that, where, there's a lot of traffic. Yes, we want to enforce it, but, otherwise, we should kind of, like, it has to be time bound, right? Not like, always. Because I've seen like evening times, where there are a lot of cars, people are getting back to home and no right turn on red and, it's backing up traffic all the way, very far, beyond the where, you come to a separate turn lane.
Yeah.
Right? It's backing up into the main lanes. Right? And so we want to be very smart about, how we do these things, right? So, because we don't want to solve one problem and create another problem.
And the ATP in the programmatic recommendations has, right turn on red included in there, but on the description, it says right turn on red or limiting right turn on red would only be allowed if it's fully understood that there's not going to be negative traffic impacts associated with that. So that point was made clear within the document.
So, yeah, no, I'm all for making improvements, but I want us to be careful not to solve one problem and create another problem. Okay? So, let's see, this is what page 56, right? So, can you go to page 62? So the solid orange is separated bikeway right now, right?
Correct.
That's, the concrete barriers, right? And what does the dotted orange line means?
Proposed. And the solid isn't necessarily concrete. So we also have the delineators or the flexible bollards in front of Lawson or parking separated, which is the case on Mary. So
Okay.
it just means physically separated bikeways.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I'm all for, things that are, so long as there are no barriers, I'm okay with that, because the moment we put barriers, so many problems are associated. And I live and breathe that, and so I just don't want to, go down that path anymore. So, bullets are fine, right? Because, people can weave in and out, right? When there are bikers, right? Multiple bikers, then the bike lane itself is narrow, right? And you don't want, if one biker doesn't want to be trapped behind another biker, right now, with a separated bike lane, they are going in the car. And I see that all the time, right? And the way to avoid that is, if we are, give them capability to get in and out, go around. So with wallets and stuff like that, then, it's, we will see, that's a good compromise.
And when describing that project type on page 61, separated bikeway, it does state that an on-street bike lane that is separated from motor vehicle traffic by a vertical barrier such as bollards, raised medians, planters, or parked cars.
Yeah.
So it's not limiting the design of the project.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that we are not committing to, the concrete barriers. Okay. That's, wait a minute, yeah. There is one high stress area that I spoke to some community members. I brought it up in one of the meetings before. So if you can bring up, the maps, Google Maps, and go to Jollyman Park area. This is on the Bollinger, right, and Kim Street crossing.
Bollinger and
Bollinger and Kim Street crossing, like near the Jollyman Park. Yeah, yeah. So here, yes, so that what I thought is, so if can you zoom out, out? Because I want to see that this is the Jollyman Park, right? So people come from, let's see, yeah. So this is Jollyman Park, right? So people come here, a lot of people living here, they all go to Jollyman Park and they walk this way, right? When they come here, they're trying to cross the street, right? And a lot of cars that come here, they're coming full speed, to make a right turn or they go straight. They don't know that car is going to go straight or not make a right turn. It's a huge struggle, and and there are near accidents few times. And I spoke to some of those residents where they got nearly hit because they thought this car coming at speed is going to make a turn, but then it was going straight. And so this is a high stress junction that I heard from quite a few residents. So we need to do something about this before we see something bad.
What's the segment? The Bollinger is, the project is in somewhere in the list.
No, that is the other segment, the other
Right,
side.
right.
Because this is a dead end, right? So so this is a dead end cul-de-sac, but this junction is
It's
a
not,
prominent
it's not
junction
captured at the moment.
for a lot of elderly people that are going there for walking and coming back. And at least I spoke to 2 people that said, they got hit near it. And since I live in this area, so they know that I'm on a bike commission. They specifically spoke to me, that how dangerous it is.
And there is a project recommendation for that specific area, including kind of like a potentially unique project to add an on-street bike path. Again, everything's just conceptual at this point, but this would rank project 101. And again, the project list is just guidance for future selection for the CIP. But there are improvements at that specific location.
Yeah, so that was more for, like some kind of a crosswalk with, the flashing lights or something, we need to do to help the pedestrians that are trying to cross the Bollinger there. So
It looks like it's in there, Bollinger.
It's in the plan.
It's in there.
It's in the
yeah.
plan.
Yeah, it's in there.
Awesome.
Yeah, I see it here. Yep. Great, good feedback, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other clarifying questions from the commission?
I have a question regarding something shows up first on page 75. And it's probably stated within the document, but regards the rankings that we come up with from the prioritization. I hadn't seen this before. Seems to be new. Rankings are not intended to reflect an order in which to complete projects, but rather a guide for future project selection based on a variety of factors. I mean, when I read that, it's like there's a phenomenal amount of energy that's gone into the scoring and really trying to, and looking at where projects lie within that prioritization. And then I read this, And it seems absolutely totally counterintuitive and you look at other bike plans, including Cupertino's open, as you have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. And you look at any other bike plan thing. It's all about prioritization based on the scoring and those projects, maybe it's not everything is done exactly that way, but it's like, okay, you start looking at the top 10 or top 20, and then you work on those. And there may be some other in the lower tier areas that get done, but those are accomplished first. So this seemed like, it threw me for a loop because I thought, well, this absolutely doesn't make any sense to me. This is not what we've been talking about. This is not what everybody's focused on. Everybody's kind of, I want to say, wrestling over the numbers and how to score these things. And now all of a sudden we put something like this in here and it's like, well, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and this is something that was added to the plan just to, so the 2016 plan with the tiering. Council and CIP, they're not obligated to follow the list as is. They have the discretion to select projects based on what the community's priority is at the time, or, what kind of funding is available. So this is more of just a reminder to the community saying, hey, even though you have a project that is, 172, that doesn't mean it's not going to be built. Like, you can go and advocate for it just based on the criteria that we established, which we thought was very balanced and fair. It identified projects that are going to have wide positive impacts, also be broadly supported by the community. But ultimately, council is going to have the decision-making authority to choose which of these they want to pursue.
Which is, there's no difference between how projects will be selected from this plan and how they've been selected from plans in the past. This is just kind of more explicitly saying what we've been doing all along.
I think we even talked about that many times, that we want to keep the liberty to collect projects with different ranks together if they are in one particular location.
Right,
So I
we
think
might
that-
have a grand opportunity for a project that's
Yeah.
20, and just because.
And pulling a project from the back of the list. I think that's what this is about.
Exactly.
Is my read on it.
Yeah, that's correct.
But if you look at the old plan and you look at, I think there's the tables in there. There's 3 tiers, but like tier 1, 11 out of the 13 projects either been built or in progress. And then tier 2, it's only like, I don't know, it was maybe 50%. 50% have been done, and then tier 3, not that many. So there's some logic to have, ranking all these projects, and the likelihood that your project, for instance, we have Homestead Road, which is 187 out of 202.
Mhm.
That's, I would look at that. Any person after seeing the score, you would look at it and say, well, in likelihood, we're not going to see much there. And even though that, in my opinion, is an incredibly important corridor.
Yeah.
And so it's just hard for me to believe it. I can't sit here and think, oh, this is going to happen.
But I think that's exactly what this message is about here, right? This would allow actually to say, well, there is a project that's listed as 200, but because it is not an exactly consecutive list, the council can pick 205 if they feel so. I think that would enable them actually to.
I'm reading that, yes, but I'm not believing it. I'll tell you that. I'm just not believing it.
Well, that's how it works. That's how it has worked, and that's how it will work. So, the intent is that generally, we're going to go down the list from highest priority to lowest priority. But there's the discretion to jump around as opportunities present themselves or as the need arises to do projects out of order. And this just gives us the flexibility to do that and not imply that we're not going to do project number 2 because project 1 hasn't been done.
Okay, great.
But can you zoom in on, the shared use path on Jollyman Park as well as the Creekside Park?
The Google map,
Jollyman Park?
the Google map or in the document?
Here, yes. Zoom in.
Are we on the pedestrian or on the bike?
Yeah, in this map only, right? So I really want to understand
Sorry.
on this page 77 map, right? Zoom in closer to Yeah, see the Jarlington Park, you see that solid green, right? I really want to understand, what the green is like, so this one, and likewise this one, I really want to understand what that means. They are inside the park, like they're not like, they're shared bike paths, right, so this is inside the park, so
Yeah, that's just to show that bikes are allowed.
allowed,
Yeah.
Yeah,
They technically don't fit within. Here, I don't believe, David, but in order to categorize them and kind of demonstrate
They're allowed,
connectivity.
yeah, it's a
there lies a big
pathway that bikes are legally allowed
right?
to use unless explicitly prohibited.
Yeah, so there lies a big danger because a lot of people walk on those, right? They're not wide enough, to accommodate bikers as well as, walkers. And I explicitly heard that complaint from people that are walking on the Jarlington Park.
Yeah, and that's something that, could be modified through
Yeah.
ordinance.
Yeah.
But this is how it is now.
Yeah, it is, but we need to do something because, there are really, elderly people walking there. And and imagine, a collision involving an elderly person and a biker, right? That's a pretty dangerous.
And the Memorial Park recommendation is just what's within Memorial Park Master Plan, which would make new paths wide enough to those standards you're talking about.
Yes, I heard the complaint from Memorial Park as well.
So that's the recommendation in the plan.
Okay,
This green is status quo, so this is not a new project, right?
No. The Jollyman Loop?
Yeah,
No.
that's status quo.
Yeah.
the status quo, but I'm just saying, my
Yeah, yeah,
feedback
yeah,
is it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
wide enough
Yes, yeah.
to serve the purpose.
Mhm.
Right, because by allowing this, we created a dangerous situation.
I have one more question as well. Do we have any qualitative or quantitative feedback regarding from the community during the feedback gathering process about neighborhood bike routes?
Neighborhood bike routes specifically. They're supportive of them specifically for access to schools, really, is where they were brought up the most.
How was the feedback like? Do you have like anecdotes or we have like data points saying like, I don't know, 50% replied, yes, we like that?
We didn't ask questions specifically about that, but because we originally had that fairness criteria, right, which are how many projects received likes. The shared use neighborhood routes themselves received the most likes, along with the shared use pass.
But we say we didn't use the lags, right?
Pardon?
Said we didn't use the lags.
No, exactly. So before we made that change, when you look at the public input map, the community loves them.
So on the e-bike safety, right, so you have information saying that, okay, how are we going to improve the safety? Like there, I saw, except for education, I didn't see anything concrete in saying that how we are going to improve the e-bike safety. The other thing is like you have potential for e-bike, different trip potential, right? So you have in different charts. But then you are not necessarily breaking out as to how much percentage of the people are actually using the e-bikes now and what's the growth potential there as well, right? Because right now it's all lumped up under bike, e-bike, everything is considered as one single line item. So do you have plans to?
So that table is the safe routes to school travel tally information that we collect. So that's the student mode share data. As for specificity about addressing e-bike education, that's something that would come through like a city work program item. So having that within this plan then allows us to go and make the recommendation that we need some sort of formal project that has council support and budget attached to it to then go out and perform that education in whatever form would be the most appropriate.
So other than education, we are not building anything as part of e-bike safety.
I guess I don't understand the question
There
fully.
is an agenda item that we're planning for the next meeting, which is on e-bikes specifically, some of the challenges we talked about earlier meetings there. But I think it's unrelated kind of to the plan. It's really more, what are we, as a city, how are we thinking about the illegal e-bike cycles?
Yeah, exactly, because people are, biking on sidewalks
Yes.
at a much higher speed, I think, which is going to affect the pedestrian safety.
Yeah, and the future program would consider things like enforcement, whether that.
That is exactly what we're gonna talk about in the kind of meeting, but it's unrelated to the bike plan because it could be anywhere. E-bikes could be anywhere in the city where violations are happening.
Yeah, I have something on technology corridors, but then we'll talk about it once we have a Q&A session over.
Wonderful. Any more clarifying questions? Otherwise, I'll open up for public
I
comments.
have one additional
Yes.
question. So just to, when we look at looking now at the bike infrastructure, when sometimes a corridor will have a separated bike lane, sometimes it'll be like a bike lane with a buffer. And then I go onto the city website, I look at the traffic counts for those corridors, and they're all really high. It's like, I think 6,000 a day is, my recollection, 6,000 a day is a recommended for, you go to a separated bike lane. I think that comes from the federal government, like I think the urban bikeway design guide. So like, I'm trying to, and some of these are up 30,000, 20,000, most of them are up in that range. So of the major corridors where you would put these. And so how is that determined whether or not to go to separated bike lane versus a regular bike lane versus
Yeah,
buffered bike lane?
so Alta looked at what you were talking about, reference all the FHWA guidance and the Caltrans design information bulletin to kind of establish the foundation of, all right, what's recommended at the state and federal level. And then based on what we heard from the community, kind of refine those recommendations, looked at the corridors, determine what was feasible, where there's like Blaney, for instance. Previously, it was a separated bike lane in 2016 plan, but it's been refined to a buffered bike lane due to the fact that there's just so many driveways. And from an engineering perspective and cost, the likelihood of a separated bike lane across the entire segment of Blaney from Homestead to Bollinger would be incredibly expensive. So let's put a recommendation in the plan that is actually realistic and something that's going to have benefit, and it's going to have benefit hopefully in the near term.
All right. Are we all good here on clarifying questions? Sounds like the case. Let's now open up for public commentary on this topic. Anybody has any comments or anybody online?
Have no speakers.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Then I'm gonna get it back to the commission for a discussion on this topic. And I think the objective and the goal for tonight is to get this document essentially ready for city council to approve. I think we have the feedback from the planning commission, which is pretty much approved as is, with the addition of the emergency route kind of considerations. So when there is impact to emergency considerations, we should definitely make this as a checkpoint for to verify. But do we have any other topics of discussion that we want to cover before we do a vote on the document tonight?
Yes.
Yeah, go for it.
So first of all, I think I would disagree with you, Chair, when you said that planning commission was interesting to watch. I think I'm very sorry for staff who have to go through the same thing over again from one day to the other to deliver the exact same presentation. It's a disaster in terms of governance for the city because there was close to no discussion about land use. There was one commissioner who mentioned at some point the ADUs and the use of parking, and that was pretty much it. The rest of the 1 hour discussion was the exact same discussion that should have happened here or would happen here. And so the question is who does what, and that's it. And again, I'm very sorry for staff to have redundant efforts, but beyond that, I think the issue is also that we have a planning commissioner who portrays himself as, guardian of the purse and wants to reduce spending. But I don't know exactly what your compensation scheme is, but I'm pretty sure that you are compensated to stay until 9:30 at City Hall. And I don't think that it's the best use of taxpayer money to have staff do the same thing over and over again twice, just because, one commissioner and the planning commission are trying to take over the responsibilities of the planning of the.
Is this about the bike plan or?
No,
trying to-
it's about the back plan, because that's exactly the same thing that was presented yesterday that is presented today, so that's definitely about the bike plan. About the process maybe, but still about the bike plan. Couple of things. I think one of the issues that I had with the bike plan was that we were told that the implementation of the Vision Zero plan would be actually in the ATP. And it's a little bit disappointing from that standpoint. If you look at Homestead, which is on the high injury network, just has one intersection improvement for bikes. And that's the only one outside of Stevens Creek Boulevard. And there's just 2 improvements for pedestrians. So if we look at if the active transportation plan is the implementation, like what is going to help us make the city safer for pedestrians and cyclists, at least as far as Homestead is concerned, it's not there. So that is disappointing. Bollinger also has literally 0 intersection improvements. Dianza Boulevard has 1, and that's because it's the joint one with Stevens Creek Boulevard here. And same thing, Stelling has just two intersection improvements. I will commend the fact that the pedestrian plan is actually very solid. I really like it. I think there's a lot of things that make the city better. And so I think the pedestrian plan is really good. It's just disappointing from a intersection standpoint and a high injury network standpoint that we have this discrepancy between what we say is dangerous and what we're actually willing to make better to remove that aspect of our streets. I have one more thing, but
Sure, go for it.
okay. So I counted in the project 68 neighborhood bike routes, and hence my question regarding their support in the community. I personally haven't had any contact with anyone from the community asking for these bike routes. I've never heard any enthusiastic feedback. Maybe a like on the internet does not equate that, at least does not translate for me for popular support. I have a problem with it because I don't think they solve any problem. I don't think they improve safety.
Which one is that?
The neighborhood bike routes.
No, never.
Right? So it's essentially signs and shadows. And the shadows confuse the car drivers and the cyclists alike, because the cyclists don't know, think that they are allowed to drive in the middle of the street, and the cars don't know where the cyclists should be. And by the way, I think on some of the bodies, governing bodies of transportation, shadows are actually not actively discouraged as a measure. So because of the confusion that I mentioned. Again, in terms of signs, like telling people to go from A to B, I think it's more than widespread that people now use their phones instead of looking at the signs. It might have been the case in the 90s where people would be like, oh, I'm going to watch the signs to go to a park. But that's not the case anymore. Another thing that worries me is the cost, because, and I'm going to take the word cost as a wide sense, not just the cost of putting a sign and painting shadows, but also for all that happens, we need people who do project management, who we need to have the authorization, we need to go potentially to council, it's staff time, and instead of focusing on other things, I think these projects again, they do not solve any problem, and they ask for time, money, and attention. And so I have a real problem with that. Mayor Moore already indicated that she didn't like them. She said she didn't want to see that it was not valuable. And so, in my opinion, because these things cost money, attention, and time for staff, I'd rather have the city do less, but better. Less in that case to me is more, and I think we should do less projects, but better one. And I don't see the bike routes as being an efficient way, to make a connectivity improvement, safety improvement. There is very, very little. If there are things that are improved in terms of projects, they are marked already, and bike routes are not one of them. And so again, if we're saying let's not do bike routes, it reduces pretty considerably the number of projects. I counted 68, but in my opinion, it would be better to do less. And it's not because it's a bike thing, pat ourselves in the back and the sign like, hey, everybody's happy because we did something, but something is not always the right thing. And I'd rather see the city make some progress on all the other projects that are discussed in that plan, as opposed to the bike boulevards.
One quick point of clarification. So there's 68 listed segments for the neighborhood routes, but those would be delivered.
They are combined, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's a moment, if I can make a motion, but
I'm not sure if this requires a change, because I think part of what this is about a list of things of projects. So that doesn't mean, again, it doesn't mean we have to execute them one by one, in that order. Everybody, city council, staff, will have the liberty to essentially pick from this list. It doesn't have to be executed one by one. So I'm not sure if it really warrants a change, as much as a reaffirmation of the fact that city council and everybody else can pick whatever they want there.
Yeah, when we.
And it's explicitly stated there.
And when we presented the network recommendations to the city council in November of last year, they didn't have any comments about the individual projects or the number of them.
Yeah. Any other commentary, questions, discussions?
Yes, I have comments about the technology corridor. Yeah, can you bring up that, it's actually, I think you have 2 pages. Same
Number?
Same picture is 59.
59.
There's also one at 70. Yeah. So if you look at this one, the technology corridor, right, you picked up like, I think 5 corridors to plan for. But there is a potential for you to extend this one, for example, in few areas, like one is like, from Sterling all the way to Dianza, right? There is a gap there. It's possible to extend that to Homestead all the way to the Dianza. That's one possibility. And the second one is like, you can also in McClellan, I think you were trying to focus on the school areas and the major corridors, but the McClellan is not there. So that's another area where it's possible to add the technology corridor. And then there's no reason to stop, like for example, Miller. I think the plan is to go all the way up to, I think it's Calle de Barcelona, to cover the Cupertino High School. But it's good to really go all the way to the end to Bollinger Road, because you have Miller on the other side, which is also a busy issue on the Bollinger Road. So it's good to get that all the way to the Bollinger. That's something. And also on Stewart Street Boulevard, it's okay to extend all the way up to the Cupertino's boundary, like up to Lawrence Expressway, but not to Lawrence, but at least to 280 intersection, which is also a busy section where you could extend that. And I would also consider the 6th road as a Bollinger Road, because it was also one of the safety issues that was considered, and it's easier for us to accommodate technology, that as a technology corridor, as opposed to making other infrastructure improvements, which was much more harder get one. So that's my suggestion regarding, and all these technology corridors, I think you all put that as a, these are all staff recommendations. If I'm not mistaken, right?
So these technology corridors were created based off of council direction to prioritize technology in the ATP.
Correct.
And when we started looking at, all right, how do we identify what these corridors should be? We first looked at the typology C intersections and the signalized intersections. So those are the traffic signal and control improvements. And then we looked at their relationship to the high injury network, and then where within those corridors, there's high rates of collisions where the primary collision factor could be associated with different factors at an intersection like red light running or, improper turning at a red, stuff like that. And then some of these corridors and intersections, the city just doesn't control, like Bollinger. The city of San Jose actually maintains and manages those intersections, so we wouldn't have the ability to actually, implement and control those technologies. So these corridors were really just identified based off their collision history, whether or not the city has the authority to actually manage the technology, and then what the plan's pedestrian recommendations are along those.
Is that the same issue on the Homestead side as well, like we do
Yeah.
control, or is it city of Sunnyvale?
That was the Sunnyvale.
That makes sense, yeah.
And how about Stevens Creek Boulevard, extending all the way beyond Beach Avenue, right?
Yeah, when we looked at the collision data and the recommendations for the typology C intersections, they ended at Miller, and there really aren't as many collisions that have those collision factors once you get east of Miller. They're really kind of consolidated between De Anza and Miller and Stelling and De Anza.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
And McClellan is not an issue, we didn't have any.
There's no traffic control improvements for there and.
No, that's okay, we don't have it today, I'm just asking whether that could be. Yeah,
Yeah, it's something that council could decide that they want to do. Again, this is just like an initial project saying, hey, these are reasonable corridors, but council could look more broadly and add corridors when we get to implementing projects.
And there's only 3 traffic signals along McClellan.
Yeah.
And 2 of them are accounted for here. It's only McClellan above that is.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's something that I believe we've been looking at that one to see whether you have enough data connectivity to that signal, and I believe it is there, or that was being discussed at some point in the
Yeah,
past.
it's not connected to our network currently.
Okay. Okay, I think as part of a, technology POs, proof of concept that we did some time ago, that was one area. We're looking at the school areas to see how we can bring that, and I believe that the Finch was already included in Stevens Creek, but I don't believe the Bub Road was included, so that's. Okay, another question I have is, like, one of the things last time we got the feedback is data collection. We wanted to, if you want to make any future decisions or improvement, we want to use the data collection like before and after kind of a thing. So I didn't see anything there to say how we plan to get that.
Yeah, so
That was the feedback last time in planning commission, that the feedback was there. We provided the feedback, and I believe council also said the same thing.
yeah, and then we developed the project effectiveness guidelines, which lays out the approach for pre-project collection and post-project collection to determine, all right, what's the result after we put in these projects? So we're looking at collision rates, pre-project, collision rates, post-project, and then counts pre-project, counts post-project. And then we, within the guidelines, created this term, the safety plus mode shift rate. So when looking at whether or not a project was effective, did we have an increase in cycling that was also associated with a decrease in collisions? So that's included as Appendix J, which was reviewed.
Okay, that's all I have.
Excellent. Any more comments? Discussion?
I do have some comments. So, I'd like to make some general statements about the plan. I think I'm pleased that the rescoring has pushed some of the intersections up in the in the ranking. I compared before and after. So, and I would agree with Commissioner Marcy about, I mean, the plan seems to do a very reasonably good job with the pedestrian infrastructure. I think that's important, but it seems to be very heavily weighted in that direction. And I also agree with him about these neighborhood routes. I've ridden some of them. There was one close to my house. It's like, I'm not sure why some of them are ranked very high. And it just doesn't make any sense to me. I think if you look at what our goals are, I mean, we have Vision Zero, zero KSIs by 2040. They're looking at this climate action plan where active transportation is, I think 15% of all trips by 2030, which seems like it's out of reach already. And 23% by 2040, I think.
It's something ambitious.
Yeah, and then you look at the VTA plan, which the connectivity, they want some connectivity so that you get, commuters traveling into Cupertino. I think we seem to be focused mainly on the community a lot, and it's important, but also there's a lot of people working at Apple. You want them to ride their bike instead of driving their car. So, and then you look at the way Alta has described Cupertino. It seems like in one of the existing condition memorandum, it seems that they're saying all the right things. I mean, they have a statement in there that says to make active transportation an even more attractive option, Cupertino must address the major corridors that serve as obstacles for people walking, biking, and rolling. Streets such as Stevens Creek Boulevard, Ganza Boulevard, and Homestead Road are crucial to connectivity. But their design and high traffic volumes present significant challenges to safe travel by walking or biking. Where facilities do exist, they may not feel comfortable for all ages and abilities to use. These high traffic corridors often isolate residential areas, making it difficult for residents to access local destinations or regional transit stations safely. To address this, the city should focus on improving major corridors by creating safe and comfortable options for people to walk, bike, or roll. Doing so will create a safer and more accessible routes for residents and visitors, thereby improving overall connectivity and supporting the city's goals for sustainable, walkable Cupertino. And if I look at this plan, and I still think the rankings are important, you may say, well, okay, we generally do the stuff that's up front, but the corridors they're all, the top 7, they're all that are listed in the Division Zero, as far as 70% of the KSIs are. They're all pushed down below. I mean, I listed them out right now, and Stevens Creek is at 69, Homestead's 187, Deanza is not even ranked. There's a little segment at 183, but there's that section, particularly north of. I've ridden that section we widened the bike lane, but not that section north of Stevens Creek. That's really tight. In fact, when we approved that, we didn't approve that. We looked at it in a commission meeting, and then I looked at it and we wanted that lane wider. It was actually made narrower than what's shown in the conceptual plans that were given to us. So it's not comfortable. That section from Deanza down to Stevens Creek going southbound. Stelling's at 68, 80. Wolf is 83, Bollinger 78. So I'm looking at this and thinking, well, we're not getting Division Zero, and we're not even going to come close to this climate action plan, and we're not working with VTA on connectivity, because I think they're looking at Deanza Boulevard. I think they're looking at Homestead, and I think there's a few other boulevards there that we really don't address. So, and having commuted to Menlo Park for about 25 years on my bike, I know connectivity is really important. So you want to make corridors that you encourage people to bike, take cars off the road. And so I think there's things about the plan I like, and the plan says a lot of stuff up front that seems very good, and they're spot on. It seems like they're directed, but when we get down to that scoring and the listing out the projects, and I'm hearing what you're saying, It's not all, we don't take them in any order. Well, I think in the end, somebody looking at this document 5 years from now, and this document's probably gonna be out there for 10, given the way things go. And they're just gonna look at the top 25, the top 50. They're just gonna stay with that. That's how it works. Even though you tell me differently.
And the scoring criteria, again, was established based on the comments we got from this body, the planning commission, and ultimately the direction that was provided from council. So the project list reflects what the council has decided on how they want to score projects.
And I do believe we actually also moved the needle on that just on our most recent review where we were the one actually, we were the body actually pushing for getting those corridors better ranking by deprioritizing some of the school priorities. So I think there's never a perfect scoring. Let's put it that way. I mean, I think we can change it again and we can change it again and again. And I think there will be always some areas where, oh, my project is just not in the list there. I think that this is a pretty good plan. I honestly believe this is with all the constraints that we are working on. We have put a lot of effort into this plan over the last year and a half. And I feel like we are at this point ready where we need to say, let's call this a plan. It has especially the disclaimer where it says projects do not have to be ordered in execution in the way they are. So I think it's probably time for starting actually implementing. And this, in my opinion, is the time now because I think the council meeting is coming up in September. If we don't necessarily get this approved, we probably miss the September and then probably gonna miss the year, I guess.
One, I mean, make a comment, right? So one possibility to kind of address some of the concerns, I think the whole idea of the pedestrian being given priority is by design, right? Because if you look at it, the first time when the staff put together this plan and got the input from the community, including the bicycle pedestrian commission, we wanted to prioritize the input was like, pedestrian safety should be prioritized first. And so that's good that that's reflected in the plan now. Regarding the high injury network Vision Zero, that was also said at that time as well. So it's not exactly mapping the Vision Zero network. So one possibility is similar to how you have this technology corridor map. It's possible to put that high injury corridor map as well in the plan, or you provide a reference back to the Vision Zero plan. Many of the other cities who have done this ATP, or they call it as a bicycle pedestrian plan, they have kind of shown that Vision Zero high injury corridors are also part of the, the active transportation plan, right? So that way, when in future, when the council is picking up projects like out of this dot map, right, they could prioritize like how you have shown technology corridors, similarly high injury corridors will be shown as well, and they could pick projects in the proximity of those corridors or on the corridor. So that's one way of addressing this problem. I can show some of the other cities ATPs which specifically call out the high injury network. Yeah.
So you're envisioning a page that
Exactly.
contains just as a reference material.
As a reference material, exactly. I'm showing that way, somebody is taking up this plan, we're not adding any new data. It's basically data, a reference from the other document.
Is it feasible? Is a recommendation?
Yeah, the plan includes the high injury network as a map. Is that what's being proposed here?
Yeah.
Just showing the high injury network?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's already in the plan.
Oh, which page is that?
Which way?
That is on page, it's early in the document.
Or the recommended network, you can also bring that in if you want. That's another.
High injury network, yeah, it's here on page 34.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so it is here, it can be referenced as a.
Yeah, so if you want, you can put that as a recommended, one of your recommended corridors, you could also highlight this page. So that will kind of address some of the concerns raised by commissioners there.
It's referenced somewhere in this document. Yeah, this zero plane, it's referenced here on page 33, talks about that here. By focusing on these high-risk areas, the city can more effectively prioritize safety improvements and allocate resources where they will have the greatest impact. It's on page 33, 33, and 34.
Yeah, you also have it in the improving safety, that page also highlights ATP provides the framework to turn the high injury network locations in Vision Zero.
So I feel like this is already covered. Okay. Anything else, folks? Anything else we should be covering?
I have a question.
Money, yep, yep.
On the table on page 88, right? So some of these projects have multiple options, like, separated and buffered bike lane and stuff like that, right? We could take 68 and 69, right? They have two options, right? So I'm just trying to see, how to interpret this data, right?
So
So,
topology A, B, and C.
yeah,
Is that what you're referring to?
yeah, like, if you take 62, right? Separated bikeway and then buffered bikeway, one below the other, right? Does it mean, both are options for that that street?
No, these are referencing different projects. So going back, said 62.
Yeah.
62,
If you,
project number 62?
yeah.
Project number
It says
Project
two line items, 260.
Okay, yeah,
Yes.
that's
Line item.
for the Blaney corridor.
Yeah,
It would be a combination of separated bike lane and buffer bike lane, which is what's shown on the network map. So that would be separated over I-280, buffered for the remaining stretch.
okay.
Yeah.
So, and then there's some, purely just separated bike lane, right? So,
Yeah.
and like, go down, right, that would be 69. There's like 92 Finch Avenue, just a separate, and 94 Foothill Boulevard, only separated by. So that means that's the only option for that road. Is that what it means?
No, that means that's the recommended option.
Okay, okay.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Anything else on the plan?
So in the recommended actions, right, is there any reference back to the Vision Zero partners? I see that, where you have the page 34, there is a goal or objective saying that these are the areas that can be prioritized. But as part of your recommendation, do we also state the same thing?
It's within the prioritization metrics. So the category that was weighted the most heavily is the high injury network. So it's 30 points if the project is on the high injury network and reduced scoring. I forget if it's 10 or 20 if it's within 1,000 feet.
Okay. For some reason, some of those corridors, projects fell down on the rank in spite of that, yeah.
And part of it is probably because some of those may take away parking and have some impact on that, which again was one of the criteria we developed over time. So that probably may have balanced it out a little bit with the priority versus the cost, so to say.
Yeah, but it's true. I think the information is there. As we said, right, even though in the past plans, like there are multiple tiers and so on, not necessarily the council made decisions just based on that. Sometimes projects in tier 3 were pulled in as well. So I think this gives a good balance of, the ranking, and but at least we have enough information in order for the council to pick the projects or cluster the projects as needed. There'll not be anything perfect. Like maybe if you go and change the scoring a little bit, now something else will fall apart.
Yeah.
So
100%.
I don't know whether we can make it perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with, Commissioner Ganga's sentiments, like, really look at, our city, right? Are there more walkers? Are there more bikers? There are a lot of people that walk, right? Yes, there are a few bikers, yes, like myself, right? And we want to make it safe for everyone, but I think, the way it turned out, lot of prioritization on walking. I'm pretty happy with that in terms of like, because that's what community does, and I mean, we. I mean, we may wish for, everybody working in Apple, we want them to come and buy. Our wish is one thing, versus, what people really want to do is different, right? So at the end of the day, we have to work within the framework of, what people want. So. And I think, there's a lot of people that walk and, in our city, and gotta make it safe for them.
Yes. I'm actually quite encouraged about the plan, to be honest. I've read it probably twice from the front to the back. And yes, it's a plan. It's not never gonna be perfect. Can probably spend another year on it, and it's gonna be incrementally smaller, better. But I think the key is also to start implementing. I think that's the real step. So that's why I'm looking for a motion to approve this plan, or actually to recommend
Recommend the council adopt.
to adopt.
Before we do that, I'd like to make a motion. To remove the neighborhood back routes projects from this plan.
I'm struggling with that.
Yeah, I don't see a reason why something needs to be removed, like,
Yeah.
because it's part of the class 3.
Yeah, and we don't know the side effects.
It's there and even.
There's gonna be some other artifacts that are coming out, so when we remove those, then we're gonna have back to the discussion board and say, oh, now this project ranked the wrong order, so now we need to do it. I think it's a never.
What's the intent? Like, if you remove it, does it prioritize something else higher? Is that why you want?
It's not prioritizing higher, it's really removing stuff that does not serve a real purpose. If it costs money, doesn't solve a problem, to me, that sounds like not a good value proposition.
But there's no harm in having it, right? It's up to us, which one we implement, right? The council, anything that costs money will come to the bike commission as well as, city council for approval, right? So it's at the discretion of the future commissions and council to take up those projects or not, right?
Then if you say, well, that costs money and it doesn't matter, then you can take that pretty far in terms of spending of the city out there. I think what we want is the city to, use the money as wisely as possible. And it's just not the case with these neighborhood back roads. Unless someone tells me like there is a use case for it that people either really need it or it solves a problem. Right now, just don't see it. I don't see the problem that it solves, and I don't see the community benefit. I see the cost that it's gonna generate, not only in terms of building, but also in terms of maintaining, because that type of stuff you have to do. And again, project managing everything. It's gonna cost a significant amount of money. There's a hidden cost. Like there's a front cost painting, asking people from construction to come, but there's also the hidden cost and the time of staff that they're not gonna spend on meaningful projects. So I don't really look at it as, oh, I want to prioritize some other project. It's just really that neighborhood routes, to me, do not look like an investment for the city that brings anything.
Can you give me an example of that? Like, I'm trying to look for an example that's, a neighborhood bike project that costs a lot, but not to serve any, but just give me an example.
Well, I think, as I said, it's like, if you want to build it, you have to have someone from the staff who's gonna work on it, project manage it, you're gonna have like resources, time that's allocated to that. So already you start with that, then you have the construction phase, and it's like, there is 68 of them, so you multiply that by 68, it's quite a long.
If I could just make a pitch, just
Yeah.
throw it out there. I think what it does, I think it's important to have a plan that appeals to all ages and abilities at various levels. And whereas I agree the importance of focusing on, improving the corridors, the major corridors, there's a segment of the population, a young segment, I see them on their bikes with their parents, that want to ride through the neighborhoods, and this is how kids learn. You're not gonna put your 5-year-old on Stevens Creek Boulevard, no matter how safe it be. And I think encouraging the younger generation, and maybe we need to think about how we make these bike boulevards appeal to folks a little better if they're not being adequately used. But I think having a network that is available and accessible, appealing to the families, the younger kids, will help foster them to grow into people that will be more likely to get out on the major streets as they.
No, I get that part, right? Definitely, no, but I'm just looking for an example where, a neighborhood bike plan or a route that was implemented, which cost us a lot of money and not serving the purpose. I'm looking for an example. If we don't have an example, then, we're not saying, we're going to go do all these projects, right? It's there as an option you want to pursue. Right?
So some of these, okay, so I can give some examples, right? So when you say neighborhood, right, these are typically residential neighborhoods where you're encouraging people to, or the, as David was saying, like younger kids to bike. Typically, like these are also identified in Safe Route to School as a preferred bike routes to school. That's another thing. And also in some cases, like in Portal, for example, you can also employ calming methods. I mean, class 3 bike routes are something that's already given in the state plan, class 1, 2, 3, how to implement and so on. This one is a shared path. Basically, the same route will be shared by car users as well as bike users, and when pedestrian, we already have, at least our city has pedestrian walkways. But on top of it, if you think that certain neighborhood route is not safer, you can have calming mechanisms. Like I think the Price Avenue has something, right? Speed tables, and then on Portal that we have some curb extensions which will slow down the cars. So make it safer. So if you think that when such projects are coming up in front of the council, and if they believe that some of the streets are not safer, they can have such calming methods as well. Nobody stops us from doing that. So I think it's still valuable to keep it, and most of these neighborhood bike roads are already marked and in use. There's no reason to go and remove those things.
Just
I think if you want to make a motion, go ahead and.
One thing is, nothing prevents us. I think what you mentioned about the streets and the schools assigning certain routes as being safer for
Recommendation.
You don't need a neighborhood background, like an official one, to make that happen. You can make that happen no matter what. So I think it's just, and if we want to do like projects about reducing the speed of cars, so that's a great way to do that, like at the intersection level, that's already in there.
I'm not talking about intersections. I'm talking about the streets which are, some streets, even though they're neighborhood streets, automobiles somehow take those streets as a shortcut or whatever reason. And so those streets, there are potential for us to, make it safer by having speed calming, methods. And that's basically what I'm saying. There's no reason to really take it out. And, if in future such a project comes up, staff will recommend if that streets needs such kind of street calming message, or you just need to put signs or something like that.
Just one thing also coming back to your point about removing the one that are there. I'm not advocating for that. Obviously, if it's here, it's here. We're not going to change it. But it's creating something new. And again, like many of these routes, I think the benefit is just very low for whatever investment.
I think we are overstating the problem here. I think we're overstating the cost as well. So we have a motion on the table.
Yeah.
Do we have a second for the motion?
Second.
Let's do it. On this motion, the motion is
To remove the neighborhood bike routes in the list of projects as an option.
We vote on this?
Yep.
On the motion on the table, how do you vote, Chair Ashbeck?
No.
Vice Chair Matipatla?
No.
Commissioner Ganga?
No.
Mr. Marcy?
Yes.
Commissioner Wolf?
Yes.
Okay, motion failed.
So looking for a motion to get this to, what is the right terminology related to?
To recommend that the city council
Adopt.
the act of transportation.
Do we have a motion for that?
Yes, I can recommend.
You move to approve.
Yeah, I moved up to the.
Do we have a second for that as well?
I'll second.
We have a second, we have a proper motion with proper second. Let's do a vote on resolution, please.
Okay, for the motion to recommend that the city council adopt the active transportation plan, how do you vote? Chair Schiller,
Yes.
Vice Chair Manipalo,
Yes.
Commissioner Ganga,
Yes.
Commissioner Marcy, Commissioner Wolf?
No.
Okay, motion passes 3-1 abstention, 1 no.
Excellent. Thank you so much for touching on it. Super helpful. I appreciate it, and hopefully the council will be able to use the information from the planning commission as well as by commission. That closes the topic number 2 on the agenda tonight. Brings us to our agenda item 3, which is bicycle facilities improvement. And I think we have a presentation on this topic as well.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. Myself, Prashant Dillu, Assistant of Cupertino. Tonight, I'll be presenting the item number 3, the bicycle facilities program. As a recap, during the May 20th, 2026 bicycle pedestrian meeting, the Commission unanimously agreed to divide the proposed bike rack locations among the commissioners for review. And each commissioner agreed to evaluate their assigned locations and provide recommendations. The commission also requested the staff to investigate a potential bike rack location opportunities near the school sites. And also return in July to discuss the next steps. Tonight, staff is returning with the proposed locations for discussion and to receive the commission's recommendation. This slide shows the table which summarizes the proposed bike rack locations and also the evaluation criteria which has been used to select this 24 location. And also this slide identifies the locations where the bike rack has been already installed. So at 4 locations, the bike rack has been already installed. And this slide also shows the locations which were assigned to each for the review. This slide shows all the proposed bike rack location, how they are distributed throughout the city, which were supposed to be reviewed by the commissioners. The next steps, based upon tonight's discussion, the city will proceed with the installation at agreed upon sites, and also staff will return to BPC for further recommendations upon evaluation of the cost versus budget. This concludes my presentation. We'll be happy to hear from you regarding your feedback on your review of the bike rack locations.
Spreadsheet.
Yeah.
So we've got the spreadsheet that had the locations along with the assignments.
Yep.
And we populated it with the ones that we know.
Yeah. So I'll go first, right? So if you want to pull up my email that I sent, Prashant, I sent.
Yeah.
And David. So I'm happy to walk you through that.
You want the detailed email because we have created this Excel.
I also took some pictures, right? I want to talk to that.
It's really cold in this room, actually.
Yeah.
How you feel, but it feels like.
Feels good to me.
You can pull up the map, Google Maps, and I can talk.
Oh, you want me to, okay, that would be easy. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be easier, right? So go to Charlie Park, zoom in.
Let me see.
That's one of the locations that I visited. Going on to Sheldon Park. So. Let's see. Yeah, like that. Okay,
Which area?
so. Zoom out a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. Okay, so that's good, right? So this is the. Can you scroll a little bit? I want to see this area part, yeah. This is yeah, this is the new playground that we built.
Mhm.
So there is a bike path here. There's a restroom that's built here. There is a bike rack here, right? And that bike rack, it's not shown on this picture, but it's there in the picture that I sent, right? So that one gets used heavily, all the kids that come here. So first of all, since we built this, developed this park, this has become the busiest park. Right? This is my home park, so I go there very often. This used to be, empty before, right? Since we built this all-inclusive park, this is the busiest place. You can't find a parking spot. That's how busy. A lot of kids come biking and they tie their bike and they go here. First days, they want another bike rack here. So it's similar to this. They want a bike rack somewhere here. For all the kids that come from this side, they're coming in the bikes. They all live in this area, right? They come in the bikes. Right now, they're leaving the bikes onto the trees and and benches. They would like a bike rack, on this side of this area. There's a basketball court here. They want a bike rack somewhere here, similar to the one that we have there, right? And it has to be like the multiple bikes type of thing, not like one or two, right? There is.
Yeah, multiple bike racks.
Yeah. So that's on the Jollywood comment. Of course, there were a bunch of other feedback that I got, from people that are walking there. So they definitely want, these walkways, widened. But there's a lot of that thing, right? Because it's also, people bike on that. And there's a lot of, pollution, and also they want benches. So there are some benches there where the people that are really, walking the park are really, elderly people. And they cannot come full round. So they want to sit. They want benches along the way. They also want, this walkway extended around, the dog park, right? Because the dogs are not always there. So they want to be able to go for a longer route, right? So that's a request. So I put all of that in the email, right? So that's on Jollyland, right? We go to the Wilson Park. So my recommendation is, yes, install a bike rack, the spot that I was showing, right? So in this area for the kids that come from this side.
I'm sorry, I'm confused about the format. Are we going to talk about every location for every commissioner tonight, or?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Can you go to the Wilson Park? There's the basketball court, right?
Yeah.
So here, lot of kids that come here, they come biking, and there is a demand for a multi-bike rack in this area.
Mhm.
Right? I spoke with kids, that are playing basketball there. They say, no, yeah, they all come biking, and they just drop the bike or put it on slant right. There is a bike rack next to the multiple bike racks, next to the baseballs, but that is not getting used at all. But I don't think anybody wants to park the bike there and walk here. They really want to get up to the spot and be able to leave a bike in the vicinity and then play and take a bike home. So there is a need for a bike rack in this area. So I would recommend installing a bike rack there. Right? It's again the multiple bikes. Right? So can you go to the Starbucks? Here at post office?
Post office.
Students. I think that this is Starbucks.
This is the Starbucks coffee company.
This is Starbucks, right?
Yeah.
So I spoke to the staff and some of the people. They say that lot of because this bike, they get a lot of bike traffic. They stop at the Starbucks to get a coffee or a pastry or something. They don't have a place to, right? So there is a wooden structure here. They are now hanging or tying to that structure, right? So people want a bike rack somewhere here that's visible, right? Where they can sit inside and keep a watch on the bike and enjoy their coffee or this, right? So there is a need for a bike rack here around this Starbucks, right?
That makes great sense, yeah.
There are a lot of bikers that come there because it's on the open.
It's a very popular spot for bikers.
Yeah. And the fourth spot that right, I spoke to all the shops there. They don't see a need for bike racks that's on the Dianza and McClellan Road junction and the Rio Adobe, and I spoke to 5 of those shops. And in fact, there is a bike rack between those shops, and it's not getting used at all. So I would recommend a bike rack there.
Great. That's awesome, thank you. Next.
So,
I can pull the Excel sheet if you want.
yeah.
So which are the numbers that you recommend only for, just for the keep a record, which are the numbers of
Yes,
spots?
it's in my email. I think
Yeah.
I copied you on the mail also.
Okay,
I'll start with the one that say recommend. So we'll start with the 5.
Regarding Muni, I already transported this into the Excel.
okay, so.
So it's already-
taken care of.
It's already here, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't send you an email, but I can give you the input now.
Number 5.
Yeah, number 5. So the 5, you can bring it up. That's actually on the 19800 Valco Parkway. Wolf and Dal. Okay.
Reshare the Google Maps.
So
Yeah, so you know, rejection.
Maybe show the
So this is somewhere here, like, yeah, keep going and then, not ethanol health, but, for that. The 800 you will see. What's the entrance? Right,
somewhere here.
yeah. So
Somewhere,
you
yeah.
could see the trash can here. There is a possibility for having, next to the trash can, there's some space here.
Yes.
So, yeah, exactly, yeah. So there is a possibility to have, bike racks here. And also, ideally, you say that, it needs to be in front of the, business, that's one of the criteria. But right now, there are no businesses here, retail business, the retail businesses are a little bit either on the other side of the, entrance to the apartment complex or the condo complex, and then on the other side, similarly, there are some retail, places there. So some matcha latte place and some ice cream places there on the other side. But nothing directly, but this is the only place that where you could have it. This one doesn't make sense, this is just an entrance, and also there is an accessibility here. So I would recommend to place the bike racks on this side, but this one seems to be on away from the walkway.
Rest of the trash cans.
Right, exactly. So this is one place
But-
yeah, fine.
So how, if you put a bike rack that's away from where people want to go, how much we think that will get?
Yeah, so one thing I found out is parking is, I was trying to go on park there and very hard. I had to do 2 circles
Yes.
around before I can even get a parking space, and that was a challenge in this place. And that is true for anyone coming to those retail outlets. So it's possible that kids who wants to come there, they have access to bikes, then they could bring their bikes to these places, right? But the challenge is exactly what you said. You can park there, but you can't unfortunately see right in front of the business. And there are two empty spots in there. There is a potential that in future, maybe some retail, they might rent it to some retail outlet. There's a possibility. But right now, I don't see that. All the eateries where I see a lot of people going there, they're all away. And we don't have enough, we don't have space for bike racks in front of those places.
Yeah, I don't want us to waste money on
If
things.
you don't want, then we can skip this. Then, okay, this is the first one. Then let me go to the.
So
yeah.
are you okay with the, so you're saying no to this location?
I think
Okay.
I'm just giving you, if at all.
Why are we talking about all four of them and we come back to this one for you?
Okay.
Okay, and then the second one is, let's go in front of, the lazy dog, no, let's finish this area and then go to Stevens Street. The lazy dog, driveway, east of Stevens Street.
So
Yeah, east of Stevens, this side, right? So here,
this one, yeah.
somewhere here.
That's
And-
next to the shop, right? That's a.
Nothing in there, there's, right now that shop is not, it's right in front of us, right? So. If we, I mean, we can't have bike racks closer to this, fire hydrant, so it has to be away from it. And then if you go away from it, there's nothing in there, there's no retail outlets, nothing, and it's, if you look at it, this whole thing is nicely paved, And where do you park? You would park maybe in one of these places and nothing, nowhere to go. So I don't think the bikers will use it here. Ideally, all the retail outlets are on the other side. So I wouldn't recommend any in that location.
Could you come back when you are on Stevens Creek? Can you get next to Lazy Dog?
This is the, I think
Yeah,
this is the lazy
there's,
dog.
there's an exit here.
There is an exit, yeah. This is walkway to the Main Street complex.
Can you go on the street that's on the right? Can you go in? Yeah, inside.
Lazy dog next to the shop, I thought it's on the
Yeah,
other side.
Lazy Dog.
Lazy Dog's entrance is on the other side.
And that's-
Other side.
But this is also, this is lazy dog.
Yeah, that's
That's what I'm talking about. So can you go into
Inside the driveway?
Yeah, exactly. Because there is a bike rack on the right here. Like if you're talking about Lazy Dog specifically, yeah, on the right here,
There's a bike rack.
there's a bike rack here.
Yeah.
And do you know if it's
You're
getting
right.
used?
It's used because you have employees that have
The employees.
are using it, but generally it's used, yeah. So maybe the idea is to put one, if possible, on the Sears railway station. If you turn around, just literally 180 degrees, you will see the bike rack on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, right? You see there's a bike here.
So this would have to be
The-
coordinated with property owners.
It's not the city's right away.
It's not.
It's not,
Yeah.
it's right up. So if, I think the best idea
I
is
think-
to encourage the business owner, if these are all their facilities, they can put bike racks wherever they want.
Yeah, if they see a need and they see a lot of clients coming, they'll probably, do it themselves. right?
Yeah, I was wondering if that was the city's right of way.
Yeah.
I was mainly looking at the city's right of way,
Yeah.
which is on the main
Yeah.
street,
I agree.
main road, yeah.
On the main, the city's right away.
Which number was it? Number,
The number for that one was 2, actually, number 2. No to number 2. Okay, and the third one is actually northwest of Stevens Street Boulevard and Stevens Street and Dianza. It's actually right in front of Apple facility.
Do you think the Apple employees don't want to talk about it?
They have, I mean, I'll come to that. They already have bike rack on their entrance to the building. Entrance to the building is not from the.
so this was near the, which intersection? The whole,
Stevens Street and Dianza.
Okay. Which building is
Not
that?
going to fall.
Northwest corner, right? So it's Yeah. This one. Yeah, this one. So, exactly, so there's a potential to have bike racks in one of these places, like under the tree. The only challenge is like, if you can look at it like the pedestrian walkway, I do not know how much, where the city's right of way stops and where the building there's no clear demarcation between that.
There's no sidewalk there, huh?
There's no sidewalk there. So I think people are also using the sidewalk, closer to the building. But the challenge, that one is like.
We've got 10 feet along.
Where's that? How
10
many?
feet, 10 feet behind the face of curve is the city's right of way.
Which is the 10 feet from here?
Yes.
Oh, then which means that you don't have enough space to have bike racks. It has to be right on, facing
Within 10 feet.
within the 10 feet. And also people, if you go that way, I know people are using the space after or who are the building owner space. But ideally, if you extend this one straight, it will just come just right next to the trees.
And you were saying the entrance to the building is actually on the opposite
On
side?
the other side, and this is not, if you look at the criteria, what we say is like, people who are using the business, they should be able to see the bikes when they are using the business. And this business is basically Apple right now. And Apple has bike racks, actually they have really cute, long bike racks on the other side where the entrance is.
Oh, there is already a set of bike racks?
Yes, exactly. They have two of them in there, behind the building. But that's where the Apple employees enter the building. And they have bike racks there, right there. I don't see a need or a real use for this one. The next one is a bank there, and this side is Apple building. It's all like businesses. Like, I don't see a reason to have it in here.
Since
Which number was it? Number?
This is number 7. And the other one is on. Yeah, southwest corner of Bianza and Rodriguez. Just opposite to the Wells Fargo Bank there.
Where the Awachi biryani.
Yeah, exactly. So that,
The Awachi biryani.
yeah, it's a grocery store.
Grocery store, and then run all that things.
This was,
Yeah, not in front of this business, but actually if I'm looking at it, it's on the corner. So it's on the corner. That's where actually the city has there.
but here, I think.
Yeah, right here, right where you have this donation box.
Drop off, donation box, yeah.
There's not enough, this is right the middle. Ideally, if you wanted a bike rack, we should get one parking space next to that box and have it there. Otherwise, I don't see a good place for installing bike rack in this place, and I don't think it will be visible from the businesses either. If somebody comes into the restaurant, ideally would like to park right in front of the restaurant.
But there is no space.
There's no space, yeah, I don't see.
This is the only location where we can have
Yeah, exactly. You can have it there. There's nothing in the corner.
corner, yeah, it's
Like what is mentioned here. Right.
No, actually, this is the location we were thinking, maybe the location in the map
Was cut off.
cut
is
off.
that a retail business?
Yeah,
that-
I looked at it.
That's a restaurant, that's a
Oh, that's a
restaurant.
restaurant.
So if you look at it here, there are a bunch of other businesses as well on the other side, like grocery store and
Grocery,
yeah. But if you place it here, people who are visiting the grocery store will not be able to view this one. And the people going to the restaurant, they can view it because they will be on the other side. The entrance is on the other side, but they are sitting here, they could view it. This is one possibility.
So this could be a potential, yes.
This could be a potential, yes, I would say. If you wanted to do anything, I don't know, like,
Did we talk to them, like,
I did not talk to the business there because I was rejecting this place because I assumed it was in the corner.
Corner, yeah. I mean, that place is.
So I also walked all the way here to see whether there is any other place there. But for that matter, on the opposite side also there are businesses. The only question is like, it needs to be usable. I don't see any people biking to that restaurant or to the grocery store. So there's no reason, I frequently visit that place.
So it's a very soft yes, is that what it is?
I don't see how, nobody is using it right now.
It's got to be a place where, people will bike and come,
Yes,
like,
exactly.
Starbucks, for example.
Otherwise-
Bikers, stop.
Yes, makes sense, makes sense. This one I don't have real use for it. If at all anyone is coming to those businesses, I would see their bikes right in front. And I frequent that place, I don't see it.
This number, the number, it was,
That number is 9.
There's a lot of money.
Yeah, I took all copious notes and as well took some pictures as well, but I look like this is good.
so for you, we can consider number 5 and number 9 as a soft yes or no?
That's what I took away from this discussion here.
Yeah, soft yes at number.
Yeah.
Second tier or
If
certainly be on the first one with priorities.
in the priority, I would say put 5 as the higher priority than this one, because at least I saw there are a lot of businesses in that vicinity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, who's next?
And there I also saw younger kids
Yeah.
frequenting that place near in front of the balcony.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
But they have
Join.
shops, boba shops and.
Exactly, there's interesting places where people.
Yeah,
visit.
but the problem, first thing is, are they going to park their bike there and
That's the
walk, right?
That's the challenge, yeah.
Thank you.
Marcy?
Let's go to the Portal Park.
Which one?
Portal.
Portal.
Well, if you move here, I think next to the playground, I think would be an ideal place
Next.
to have bike rides there. I think there's like a little bit of a grass area, but most of the families in general are on this side. So I think it would make sense to have it, not because it's a park. We don't have to put it across the street, so ideally you want to move it away from the street, just for safety reason. And I think that in order for the families to be able to watch their kids and the bikes at the same time, I think somewhere around here would be ideal. Because that way you can, have visibility from anywhere in the park, onto your bike. So, yes, or to our grass somewhere. And if we don't put bikes somewhere else, just like the ride somewhere else, maybe we can add more.
Multiple. The number, which number was it?
That was number 22.
22, okay.
Is that a yes?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, with multiple racks.
I mean,
Next
I
location.
see parks, in general, I see young kids coming to the park.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sorry, there's always kids in there. Number 16, northeast corner of Dienza and Civic Park Lane.
Northeast corner. This corner.
So I think, yeah, this one, can you go with the? Yes.
Is that the liberal and their,
Yeah, there is a bakery. There is a
yeah,
bar bakery.
Yeah,
this is the Kiva back.
I think if we have the right of way here, I think that would be good to switch
yeah.
to the bakery.
That's what
People can have a stop, then go into the shop. Before, I'm not a huge fan of having it close to the street because that, but if it's not like a long stop, I think that will still be valuable to have a bike ride here.
The only
It's on the answer, is that right?
at the answer.
Yes, I think.
Right in the middle. Yeah.
The only challenge I felt was like, you see, there is a little bit slope on the sidewalk.
Yes.
Yeah, we have to see how much we can tackle that issue.
Otherwise, with this location here in between would be another option.
Yeah. Okay.
Ideally, that will be better than here because it looks like from nowhere, right? So, but only thing is you can't, I don't know whether you can see it from the business or not.
Yeah, I think you can see it from the business.
You can't have it in front of the fire hydrant, but you can do it in between. Yeah, you can,
This side.
Here or here.
Yeah, gotcha.
between the trees might be a better location, I think.
Yeah.
To make it look nice.
So that would be a yes. So it's like 16. Next one is northwest corner of Wolf and Apple Park.
They're office buildings, right?
We got the
We're thinking near the bus stop. Somewhere here, actually.
Yeah.
At this location.
I think it would make sense given that there is a bus stop here. So and there are some shops, obviously some directly on Wolf. But
No, so what's the thinking on bus stops, right? Are you expecting people to come and park their bike there and get on the bus?
potentially yes, and you see behind you also have some shops. So
I've never seen anyone do that. Leaving a bike somewhere.
Because the bike rack-
Yeah, they
because
put the bike on the bus.
here.
Huh?
Because the bike rack is not here.
No, but people usually take the bike and put it on the bus and go, right? They-
What I would suggest is that, why don't we have one in the city and try? Okay. We could try, I mean, we can try and see, and maybe that's gonna give us some good information.
And what's the recommended location exactly, Steve? But,
Somewhere, yes,
like you can, this one, this is
I would be genuinely interested in seeing if people are, and if not, then that's fine. Yeah, but I'll try.
I don't know, ideally, people who are going to the business, I mean, if you even look at the criteria, that's what we said, right?
Yeah.
The people going to the business, they should be able to bring their bikes, go into the business and come back and take their bike and go away. I don't think people will park somewhere in the middle of nowhere and then take us.
So what kind of
Okay,
businesses we have there? Like, are they like,
So you have the Duke of Edinburgh here and. Right.
Matcha Town ice cream.
This place is very, very busy all the time. Typically, it's not inside.
This
They're not on the road.
This
Not on Wolf Road, yeah, this is all, yeah, exactly.
What could be possible also if you go up? It's. Maybe I was in my part, you go.
Near the intersection.
Yeah, go up a bit more, I think there was the coffee shop up there, 70s cafe here, I know. Here, it's also a place where a lot of cyclists come and take their cafe here, so that would be the question whether that's still not city right away.
so that's a Wolf and is that a Stevens Creek?
No, it's Wolfstead.
And the homestead, yeah.
So this one definitely, so here, if that's a city right away, I would put that here because I know that some cyclists are coming here from their right, so I would.
It seems almost a better place than the other one down at the gas station, honestly.
I was fixated on the other one, but.
Yeah, maybe,
So
right between the trees, basically.
the other thing,
Challenging, no, boss, between the.
Yeah, that'll be a little
Very
challenging, but we
challenging.
can look at it.
just thinking aloud, right? Like, these are busy junctions. Would kids be encouraged to come on the bikes? They're less likely, right? So it's more for, the real pro bikers that are stopping by the coffee shop or stuff like that, right?
So
So,
the kids, they all go on most of them are in scooters and they go to the matcha.
yeah.
Inside, they don't just, what I saw is that more spandex type of cyclists who were coming here, that would be.
Probably they'll stop and
Yeah.
get a coffee.
So we'll explore the,
Kids use them, great, but the need for spandex cyclists is here.
we'll explore the area and we'll see where it will be feasible and, yeah. Possible we'll
But
include.
it sounds like the general vicinity would be a good place, so.
Yeah.
And the last one is east of Stevens Street Boulevard and Whole Foods driveway.
The number, which is This is the one.
Whole Foods Drive.
So, according to me, if that's the split we're talking about, my understanding is that there's gonna be.
That will be all redeveloped.
There's not gonna redevelopment, so I think I would wait.
We should wait for
this something for development to, what's gonna look like. If it had been like just straight. Both foods, that would be a different thing, but if it's that door here, makes sense, I think we need to.
Okay.
We already have Whole Foods open, that was my location actually. You wouldn't mind, Joel, are you okay if I go ahead? There's already Whole Foods here, so I noticed that on Whole Foods, we already have part of my grant. I don't see there's a need, and honestly, I never saw any bikes there. I visited all locations 3 times during different times. But there's a bike rack right next to the end that I think is sufficient in that location. The next, so this is number 8 for me. I would say no because we already have bike racks there that are not currently in use. Then we have the northeast corner of the Anza and Bollinger. The section of the Anza and Bollinger. So interestingly enough, in this area, there's actually really not much going on. There's
Nothing there.
This, there's a totally dead area. This is that big building. So I do not think there's a need for here. But if you go downwards to the southeast corner, there is quite a bit of activity.
That's San Jose.
Oh, that's San Jose.
The San Jose, yeah.
That's- But I did not see, I mean, this didn't seem like an active area
The
here.
building is empty, right? That's.
Yeah,
Taco Bell, right?
Yeah, that used to be some fast food restaurant, like
Yeah, so
Taco Bell or something like that.
actually pretty rundown area, so.
Now there is some ties or whatever. I live there, so it's a pretty dead spot.
Yeah, this looks for redevelopment, I think, for somebody to.
So
And
that
then-
was number 15, no?
That was number 15, yeah. And then the next 2 are very adjacent, right next to each other. It's the Anza Town Center lane.
So one was,
That's the one here.
that one, it was proposed somewhere here.
But I started from coming in from the.
We were thinking somewhere here.
Yeah, but. Yeah, go back first to.
Oh, sorry. Oh, so there are 2 locations.
On the Tory side, right?
This is the Tory side, yeah. This, we were yeah.
Yeah, here. So there is, you can see it actually, there's 20 bike racks
Oh,
here.
Okay.
Okay.
Actually, none of them were used again. There are multiple businesses there. So I do not think there is a justification.
And there is a coffee place there too, right?
It's right next door. Yeah, the
Yeah.
coffee place is right.
Yeah.
So here is the bike racks. Here right behind
Uh-huh.
there. There's 20 bike racks.
Okay.
You continue on that way. There's a coffee shop right next there. It's actually near.
The Bitter Sweet.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So that's funny because I always came from the other side and I never saw the bike rides.
Yeah. No, there were never a single bike there.
No, but not a bike, but I couldn't, I never noticed that there were bike rides.
Yeah. Yes. So I did not see a need in that neighborhood, honestly, to put anything on there until we see those in more better in use there.
But already kids go there, that's to the Bitter Sweet.
Yeah, but,
Otherwise, others are all businesses,
But-
dental
yeah.
office and things like that, yeah.
but then he says, there's already a bike rack.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is I think it's an Indian restaurant or was an Indian restaurant
Yeah.
at some point in time. Here you see the libraries.
Yeah,
It's 20 total, I counted it.
maybe the apartment, yeah, it's from the residential department.
Yeah, so I don't see a need for.
So for you,
Number 13 and 17 are really next to each other.
But the one for the tea shop, is that a yes? Because to me, it would be, I think it would be nice.
Which one?
Which
The
one?
one that,
the one you
mentioned,
the
like,
trees.
on the tourist side.
Oh, they,
Tourists, we already have bike racks in the library, in front of the library
Yeah,
and
but it's like next to the coffee shop, and I don't
So
think.
other
Don't
locations,
put your back at the library to then go to the coffee
Yeah.
shop.
other
on
locations.
both sides of the library it is there, in front of the coffee shop. in the-
Town Center Lane, you see on this side here, I think it would be nice to have one.
so what kind of shops are there?
There's only one,
Chinese restaurant.
My
yeah,
dent-
exactly.
my dentist is there, I know.
My bicycle to your dentist, we may have the same dentist, but yeah, this side.
So for Gerhard, for you, number 13 was somewhere here, number 13 was this location.
Yeah, I think it was.
For your location in the number 13,
Oh,
Town
okay.
Center Lane, it was this location.
Oh, I thought it was on the other side there.
The number 17 was the other side,
Oh,
number 13 was Town Center
okay,
Lane.
no, I thought they were right next to each other, so I did not realize, because from the description, Town Center Lane, it sounded like the same place
So
there.
if people wanna eat here, you can keep an eye on your back.
Yeah,
It's a great location.
Yep, there's space.
I-
Are there other businesses as well, or is it?
That's be private property. But that,
it's a private property, yeah, then I would say, yeah. Well, if they get bikers, they're most likely not install one themselves, right?
Yeah, that was the only spot where we had some additional
And
space.
honestly, also there's right opposite there is like the library, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a library on either side of the library. is have a bike rack.
Yeah,
Hard to see your bike, and I wouldn't feel like it's, when you eat, it's nice to have just, you don't have to be like looking at far away from the bike, it's nice to have a quick glance.
You want to be right in front of you.
But if it's not possible, then
yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah, so for Gerhard, all no, everything. is-
Yeah, I didn't see.
Joel, you want to start?
Okay, first one is, northwest corner of Stevens Creek and Tantown.
It's great and near the Molly Ticon.
Yeah, I think it's slated for this corner.
Uh-huh.
There's really, I've never seen any need for a bike rack there.
Mhm.
But if we could move it across the street to, the southwest corner and utilize this grassy area. I think that would, at Molly T, if it's like a subway there, but there's a lot. For right now, there's a lot of people that solicit it, I mean, go to that business. So I wouldn't be surprised if it would utilize.
You want to go to the next one or you want to look at the street view?
No. Yeah,
Yeah.
right, thinking, right, this is before Molly T opened up.
Okay.
The, say, somewhere in this vicinity.
Lots of young people.
Between the street light and the
Need
tree.
a concrete pad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think students also kind of ride the bike.
Yes, they might come from the Cupertino High,
Cupertino High, yeah.
all those kids might go there.
But I rode by today and it was fairly crowded, so.
And that's what the Starbucks near post office said, they get a lot of kids from the schools,
Uh-huh.
both the schools, coming on bikes.
Okay, so
What was the number? Then this
that
one,
was number one,
number one, okay.
but.
And
Starting south. Yes, south.
okay, yeah, I'll modify it.
Next one is west of Stevens Creek Boulevard and Lazy Dog Driveway, so that's just on the other side of number two, to the north side, which we.
I think here, yeah. This is the lazy dog and.
Yeah, there's bike racks right in here already that are utilized.
Okay.
That's, but there's really no need to, I think the workers use these bike racks in here. Sometimes you see 4 or 5 bikes in there, so. I don't really think that they would utilize the racks out here, you know, and put them.
Okay.
No, and I looked for another location. I don't think there's anything that would meet these criteria. So I would say no to that. And then the next one is Stevens Creek Boulevard and Main Street.
That's Creek Boulevard and Main Street, yeah.
And, so for this location, what's the, northeast corner of Stevens Creek Boulevard and Main Street? The thing is bike racks, right, you can't see them from here, they're right around the corner. And those racks, it's like 4 or 5 racks, and we only see maybe 1 or maybe 2 bikes at most on those racks, so they're really close by. And so I think putting anything here would be, you know, probably a waste of money, but, I was trying to figure out where else to go, and I was wondering if we go down, you know, go west a little bit along the sidewalk. You know, there's a Charles Schwab, would anybody ride their bike to Charles Schwab?
Good luck.
I mean, why not? But yeah, it's probably not the biggest.
So let's, you can take a look at that,
So I think the kids, what they do, they just walk to these shops.
Yeah.
And during the break, so they don't bring their bikes.
But it sounds like there's already bike racks there.
There really isn't any, I think, need to put any racks in, because there already is enough. And I wouldn't want to park my bike out here.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's great, it's great.
So. And the last one was southeast corner, Stevens Creek Boulevard and Torrey.
There's no retail,
This
basically.
location right in here.
Yeah.
Nothing, no.
Nothing.
Retail places.
Little bit.
You know, my idea was to potentially I didn't like this location, just go further east along the sidewalk. I wonder if you couldn't put 1 or 2 racks in front of Sweet Maple. I mean, because that restaurant's very popular.
Yeah,
Oh,
That one is-
Storage of parking, so I don't know if anybody would ride there, but,
Yeah, Blaney and mostly families come and I see I mean, the weekends are really busy there.
Place is super busy.
Yeah.
They have to take over the parking from the gas station.
Yeah.
So.
we have one in, 2 racks in front of the
Oh,
shop.
No, that's not,
It's further down.
further down, yeah, that's
yeah,
here.
this one,
That is,
you would,
yeah. This one.
like somewhere in
Yes,
here.
on this side, yeah. Exactly.
Um,
The right of way.
Yeah, it's,
But this used to be something else, like a Pacific catch of fish or something, right?
Yeah, now it is another place, another
It's a really
restaurant.
hot place now.
Yeah.
It's a
Now
really-
it has become, a
Yeah.
especially on the weekends.
Yeah,
yeah, you.
It's queues out there.
We'll check the fees.
But I haven't seen people really riding bikes in that restaurant, mostly in all cars, families.
True, that is, it's families, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right, you're right.
I know it's a lot of couples too. I see a lot of couples.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they
So it's
were.
not-
Seven bike there, yeah.
Which is
They
rare.
be a bike
I
stop.
rarely see families. I see a lot of young couples,
Yeah.
friends together, but not some.
But still, there are come in bike, like couple also, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we get recently, like lot of complaints of parking in the bike lane.
Across the street, there's like it's sort of, it used to be a nice shopping center, it's like a tea place and a little.
That's on another corner.
Yeah, it's on the other.
Here, right here, yeah.
So, right, yeah, here there's like
Yeah.
a drink and stuff where I see a lot of young kids.
Okay, yeah.
The students go there.
Looks like we have space also. Yeah.
That would be another, scope that out.
Yeah, I think that
This might be a better place, another restaurant. yeah.
Northeast corner.
Do we have a way on this one? So this is like.
Boba place.
What about this city?
This is very true.
Yeah.
From the high school, they might come from high school.
Yes, yes, it used to be always crowded.
So this would be the first preference, this spot, if not on the sweet maple, but looks like this is feasible with the open space, the greenery.
Yeah, that would be great.
Maybe in front of that mobile place.
Yeah, I'll compile all this into an Excel sheet and then we'll share with you guys. If there is any comments or anything more we want to add, feel free to add it.
But sounds like we have at least identified a handful of, how many do we need or it sounds like whatever money we do not spend can use for other purposes.
We can make.
So we don't have to spend the money, it's really just to use whatever is meaningful. And then the rest of the money goes back into more meaningful use.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, great. Any other questions, comments, thoughts on this one?
Nope.
That was good. Thanks everybody for taking the time to visit all those places. I think it's really good effort. That's some good results out there. Excellent. All right, thank you so much.
We got a public comment on that item?
Oh, so sorry.
Public
We
comment.
have. Do we have a public comment? I'm so sorry.
We do not have these first.
We do not. Thank you so much for the reminder. Appreciate it. Scared me from here. So that closes item number 3 on the agenda. So we have item number 4, which is staff update and commission activity report. Do we have anything update, David, on?
I can just update on the Stevens Creek Boulevard 2A expected bike lanes project. You all probably seen the progress, but stripe predominantly done, which includes bike lane striping, the in the bike lanes. Next, we'll be putting out the concrete. The traffic signal poles have been erected and those are complete. Next, we'll be putting out the concrete blocks. Probably within the next couple of weeks, you'll see those go in. And then we're still anticipating the project will be complete by the end of
July.
July.
Wow.
26.
Yes.
Any other commissioner reports?
I have a question, like, what happened to the, Torrey Avenue, like, and Pacifica, like, there was supposed to be some improvements? Is it still in progress, like, especially you had a signal?
Yeah, the flashing lights.
Flashing lights, yeah.
Yeah, still in progress.
Still in progress.
It's a budget issue. So-
Oh, I see.
But,
And when we do the flash, you do the whole thing, not just small.
oh, yeah.
And for the stop signs, right, I know that we are having like a reflector there. In some of the cities that I've seen, like they have LED
Oh, yeah.
lights surround, so it is actually flashes. So even in the daytime, the stop signs are really
Yeah.
visible.
For pedestrian crossings or?
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh.
So especially this Torrey Avenue, it will be very useful.
Well, we can look at that.
I have another place for that thing.
I know you're talking.
And these LED lights, I think they operate on solar.
Generally, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
Awesome. Anything else? Commissioner reports? No, VTA?
There was no VTA meeting.
Wasn't VTA, okay, excellent. All right, closing this item, then, future agenda setting, is it okay if we postpone this one to next meeting? We usually go always through the list here as a way to kind of collect thoughts. I believe the item from the gentleman who was here today is on the list, we just haven't picked it yet, I mean, we have to pick it.
Maybe we should put that on the agenda.
Yeah, in the future.
Because,
Where
I
is it?
mean, they came at least twice, right? So when people really want to engage with the city, we need to encourage and, and engage with them. We should put it on the agenda.
Yep, okay.
We can look at that for, not next month, but.
Yeah.
August is already pretty much booked. September would be kind of the time to.
August will be the bearded show, so she will come and there'll be 3 items.
Safe routes to school,
Yeah.
e-bike,
So there's the e-bike discussion,
bike fest.
coordination for the bike fest. And the commission expressed interest in taking a look at the
Bike
routes budget. So she'll provide an overview of that as well.
Okay, excellent. Then let's postpone the future agenda setting for the next meeting. That gets us essentially into the finish line here. The next meeting is August 19. And I adjourn this meeting here. Thank you.
Thank you.